Right then, ladies and gentlemen, there's some big breaking news which has transpired out of the UAE, and that is, of course, SRH have been inflicted with COVID in their camp. Now, the IPL press release states that it is Rajan who got it and tested positive, but he's asymptomatic right now, and he's come close contact with 6 others, which include the player Vijay Shankar, their physiotherapist, the doctors, and who not. We have Jared Kimber to just make some sort of sense, I should say, of this news, because the game will go ahead, is what we're hearing, later tonight between Delhi and Hyderabad. What are your first thoughts to this, Jared?
We've seen this before. I think there was a big bash game where players were outside the bubble, not particularly, they weren't caught with COVID, but they were, touching people, and the game went on. So it's not exactly the first time we have seen it. I mean, my general thoughts is once COVID kind of gets in, more often than not, it's going to spread quite quickly. That seems to be why we're living in the world that we're living at the moment. So I'm interested to see what happens next rather than this particular moment. I would have thought it would have made more sense maybe to delay this game. We saw that a lot in things like the NBA where games were just delayed in situations like this because, you're talking about isolating the physio. The physio is probably the super spreader. That's the physio and the masseuse are probably the super spreaders of COVID within cricket teams. And that's because, they're touching people and they're in small confined spaces with people all the time. So I would have thought once I heard that the physio was affected, which obviously he's not got a COVID or she's not got a COVID positive at the moment. But once Rajan was said to be in close proximity with the physio, I would have said, let's delay the game by 3 days. And see what happens. But we're trying to fit in a very, very packed, schedule as it is. And that's why we're pushing forward. That's kind of how cricket is run now. We push forward until we can't anymore and something breaks, which we've seen lots of in cricket over the last, couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, the super spreader is the physio. That's what happened even in the English summer against India with the 5th test, and that's how it got cancelled off. So what does this mean? I mean, in case there are more cases, fingers not there, let's hope not, but the BCCI already pulled off a lot of strings to get this tournament done. They can't possibly do it again. What's the best solution and the most dignified way to end this tournament?
So if I was doing this right at the moment, that's why I would delay this game. I would say, let's just isolate everyone here for 3 days, see what happens. If there are people in 3 days' times that have COVID positives, then we'll have to look at, the bigger picture. But at the moment, pushing ahead with this game seems to me not the ideal situation. And it seems the sort of thing that you do in the hopes that eventually what will happen is that the games will, that it will be fine. And I think what we found out in COVID is things are almost never fine, right? Once something like this happens, generally there is a cascading effect. And the reason they can't push it, my guess, or the reason they're not delaying it is there's no give in the schedule to be able to do that. So that means that we are now probably more likely, based on just on the news today, of this series being cancelled than we are on it making it through to the end. The only other way of being able to do that, which is what you're talking about, is maybe a slightly more graceful option, which is going to the teams involved. Look, we're just going, if this happens, we're just going to have to null and void those games, and we're going to have to go to a percentage situation rather than a point situation for the final. No one really wants that, but maybe that is the safer option to make sure that you still play the finals. Let's be honest, the finals is where they're going to make more money than these games. So they really need the finals to be played. And so that's going to cause them a problem.
Yeah, let's see how it all really unfolds in the next 24 to 48 hours. So we've just kind of broken this news for you all, but more to come. Watch this space.